Welcome back to the Let's Be Friends podcast. This is your host, Kara. I am here with returning guest and friend, Buck Johnson. Buck is the host of the popular podcast and YouTube channel, The Counterflow Podcast with Buck Johnson. He is also a musician, a firefighter, and an Orthodox Christian. Welcome to the show, Buck. How are you doing?
Hi, Kara. I'm doing well. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you, too. We're actually friends in real life, not just friends over the podcast universe, metaverse place, which is extra special. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm going to see you this evening.
Yeah, we're going to see each other this evening at an Orthodox event, which is super cool.
It's super secret right now.
Super secret. Yeah, super secret. That's all we're going to say. What's not a secret is that I just had your spiritual father on the show, Father Turbo Qualls, and it was amazing to meet him and chat with him. You have a fantastic spiritual father. Like, that's amazing.
He's amazing. Yeah, he's got some spiritual gifts. Maybe I shouldn't say that. If he sees this, I don't know if he would want me to say that. I think he does. Let's put it that way. Yeah, he's something else. And now, famous actor in the Moses the Black movie. It was wild to see him. Have you seen that movie yet?
I haven't. You'll need to tell me where you went and saw it after, because in the area I was looking on Austin and it was like not showing anywhere in Austin.
This won't spoil it, but there's a scene where there's a shooting at a outdoor funeral and Father Turbo has to get down and duck not to get hit. It's kind of funny to watch. It's pretty cool.
When I interviewed him, I didn't realize he was in that movie. And so I didn't ask him anything about that. And then I saw just afterwards, I was like, oh my gosh, like Father Turbo is like a celebrity. Like he's in like a big screen movie.
Yeah. I didn't know he was going to be in it till I saw the previews for it. And I thought, what the heck? Look at
this. Very humble Orthodox to not mention that kind, to not even like mention that kind of thing. Yeah. Because humility is really, that's the goal that we're all going for right now. It's not easy, but.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It does. It hurts. I just was baptized into the church last summer. So I've only been Orthodox for 6 months now, but I've already, been humbled so much, like in the, even online to some different circumstances and situations. I've been through some slander. I've had changes in my life. Just everything is refining, like friction, through theosis and the circumstances of our life. And actually, I wanted to talk to you because I had you on the show, I think a year ago, and you gave your testimony because you came out of being an atheist and into Orthodoxy. And I wanted to talk about how it's kind of been since you became Orthodox. How is the struggling coming in your life? How are things changing your perspective on stuff? But before we go into that, can you give the listeners a little recap on kind of your story? How, kind of the quick, not too quick, but share with us.
Yeah, I was raised in an evangelical megachurch. Pastor John Hagee. I say raised, it was my teenage years. And so at the time I liked that stuff, but I call those atheist factories because, you're a teenager, you have to go. And I thought it was somewhat fun because he yelled a lot. There was people that spoke in tongues, which also as a teen, I was like, wow, that's kind of wild. I would always go thinking I hope someone speaks in tongues. And then I become an adult, moved to Austin, and my politics were always part of my life. And it was sort of right-wing libertarian conspiracy fringe, that sort of world. And I just quit. Once I moved as an adult in my own place, and I'm like, I'm not going to find a new church. That was boring. I mean, as an adult, I don't want to go back to that. And then I actually got into, it was kind of like when the new atheists sort of became popular, like Christopher Hitchens, and I can't stand this guy now. I can't think of his name. The guy who talks, Sam Harris. And some of those guys, I'm almost embarrassed to say, but I got into reading those books and the God Delusion. And I was so focused on reason and logic from the libertarian perspective. And it was there's no God. And so I was like that till about 2020. And then the world started shifting in spiritual ways that I started to think about this can't just be all bad government employees making stupid buffoon type decisions across the world at the same time. And then the way it was affecting society and the culture and some of my secular left-leaning friends who were going absolute bonkers. And I just started thinking there must be some dark spiritual stuff going on here. If there's that, there's got to be good. Please, please. And then at that same time, on my podcast, I interviewed Cyprian, who was a friend of mine. He was on the Royal Path show with Father Turbo. He had the best analysis I had heard at that time. That was during 2020 or 2021, I can't remember, on the COVID stuff. And he mentioned Orthodoxy a few times. And when we got off the recording, I said, you sure have the sharpest, most interesting, thought out analysis on what's happening. And what is that? Where do you get that from? And he said, if you're looking at this through a materialist lens, everything that's happening across the world, you've lost the whole plot. Like, this is all spiritual. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I was starting to lean that way. And I said, well, what is Orthodoxy? And he sort of gave me a quick explanation of it. And then he said, I think it was one of the same books you might have read. He said, read God's Revelation to the Human Heart by Seraphim Rose. And he's like, it's a pamphlet almost. It's not a thick, it's easy to digest. You're not going to stumble over it. Just order it off Amazon, get it, check it out. And then I did, and my whole chest was warm. Everything was my mind was blown. My spirit sort of tingled. It was like, this is not the megachurch Christianity that I learned to dislike and was kind of fighting against if anyone ever asked me about it. Where has this Christianity been? Well, it's been there the whole time, but I don't think I would have been ready for it at a certain time. So this was sort of God's timing to find this. And lo and behold, there's an Orthodox church in Lockhart, which is a very small town of 13,000 people. So that sort of blew my mind. And then I was afraid to go in, though. So I started driving by and looking at it about every few days. And I would just look at the sign in the alley, and then I just drive on. And a guy who became my godfather, but I did not know him, he DM'd me on X, on Twitter, and said, I heard you say on a podcast that you live in Lockhart. I go to a church there that I'd like to invite you to. It's called St. Andrew's Orthodox Church. And I was like, who is this? And I said, do you live here? Do you want to get a beer or something? And he said, no, I live about an hour away, but you should go to this church. And I said, well, that's weird. I've been driving by it once a week, twice a week. And I'm reading this book by this guy named Father Seraphim Rose. Do you know him? And he was like, yeah, he's my family's patron saint. And he said, I promise you, I had no idea you were reading him. I had no idea you were thinking about anything about church at all. I just got an instinct I should write you. And I thought, well, I would still at this moment call these coincidences that are lining up. And he's like, I promise you they're not coincidences. So I started going, and then my whole world changed.
Wow. That's a really powerful testimony. That's unbelievable. I'm absolutely amazing. And God's Revelation to the Human Heart, as we were sharing in the past, is the first book that I read too when I became interested in Orthodoxy. And this is my Seraphim Rose icon here. Father Seraphim Rose. Let's just call him Saint Seraphim Rose. I mean, he's a saint. It just takes us, the world, a little bit of time to give him that title. He's coming to a lot of people right now. I mean, we're going to talk about his book, Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, which is just talking about really what's happening in the world with oh, look, you have it right there too, with the conspiracy culture and the New Age. And not just that, but how the Pentecostal charismatic churches and just how all of this happening right now is a sign of the time. And hearing your story, how you started out, grew up in that mega church vibe. I went to a mega church for about a year. It's funny, I didn't even realize I was at a mega church till a friend came to my baptism. And I do say it with air quotes because as an Orthodox Christian, we believe in one baptism, one very particular baptism done within the Orthodox Church, where the priests have apostolic succession and they have the divine grace to actually perform baptism over you. And when I left the megachurch and I came to an Orthodox church, as we discussed, I think in our last episode, I actually had problems getting baptized. And that's what brought me to your church. I went to your parish for a little while, which is a fantastic little parish. It's such a cute parish. I know you guys just moved into a bigger room, and Father Ignatius is amazing, who is the priest there. He's, you know, he's so funny, and he has a huge heart, and he's very smart. But Father Seraphim Rose he definitely brought me into Orthodoxy. Like, he opened the door for me. I came out of the New Age and the occult. You know, you came out of atheism. I know Father Seraphim Rose has also written a book on nihilism. You said you kind of were like a nihilist as well. But
that book also, that was the second one I read, because I read the one we're talking about, and I thought, let me check this other one out. And I started reading nihilism, and it was against a lot of the political things that I was against. He wrote that before he was a monk, I believe, and certainly before he was a priest. And it was just talking about kind of postmodernism and things like that. And I was like, this guy, you know, excuse my, for lack of a better phrase, like, this guy's based, you know?
Oh no, he's so based. That's a great way to say it.
I was like, even these, like, I get all of this stuff in nihilism, and this is like, you know, it's just another step along the way. I'm like, what the heck? I didn't need to get more of his books. And, you know, you get this one, and he's something else. He is something else.
I'm so grateful for him. And there's so much to his story that's relatable for people today. And God's revelation to the human heart, like you said, it's just like 6-8 page book. It's a talk that he gave in California at Berkeley, maybe. And it was like, when I read it, I'm like, it did the same thing. It opened something up in me. I'm like, this feels different, because, you know, for me and my testimony, everybody's heard it a million times on the show, but like, I was not a Christian growing up. I had real aversions to Christianity for so many reasons. And when I became a believer in Jesus, it was a really strange way. I went from believing that he was fake to being, oh my gosh, that's God, fully human. Like, it all made sense to me, especially after 2020. A lot of us started questioning the world at that time. And eventually you realize there's a battle for our souls going on here. Okay, so now what do I do about it? Because you can only go so far in the rabbit hole, and then you just kind of start spinning, and you actually end up losing yourself and your soul. And so when I realized that, you know, I came as a Christian Protestant, went to the mega church, but everything like didn't feel right. It felt very unbased, to say. And then nobody could answer my questions. Every time I started questioning a group too much, they honestly would like kick me out. And eventually I came to the Orthodox Church, and it was really Father Ignatius where I started asking him questions. He had answers for me. I was like, this is based. I literally thought Orthodox Christianity is based. There's not like I'm not going to say the word, a rock band, a blank rock band playing music at the beginning, and people putting their hands up, off and the speaking in tongues, and the vibe of the Protestant church was not welcoming to me. I felt like the Christian Karens were coming after me. And coming to Orthodoxy, turns out you're not supposed to judge each other. There's no rock band. It's everybody's coming in as sinners to the hospital looking for healing.
Yep. Yeah, those are the things too that thank God there was no rock band.
Yeah. When we met, it was in the parking lot outside of the church. It's so funny. I love that. That's hearing right. That you like drove by like a few times. I just picture you just driving by, because Lockhart's a small town. It's on like the town square, that church. And I just picture you just like driving by thinking about going in. But I met you in the parking lot. And one of the first things you showed me was on your phone, you had just interviewed Father Peter Heers, I believe, on baptism. I mean, the timing was unbelievable, because I was there. It was just like, God, like, I love our connection, our friendship, because Seraphim Rose is definitely like active in it. Your story is so like, God brings you into the church. He brings you into the church. We don't proselytize as Orthodox. You know, we don't evangelize. Thank God. God reveals things, God's revelation to the human heart, to your human heart when you're ready. And you showed me that video, and you're like, I just recorded with Father Peter Heers on, it's all about, I declare one baptism. And I was like, probably, I don't even know if I started tearing up or crying. Yeah. I
cried. And I was cried. Like, oh.
Yeah. Cause I was fighting for a baptism. They would not baptize me at the first Orthodox church I went to. And because I'd had that Protestant baptism, they tried telling me, oh, that was fine. That was valid. Like the grace of your chrismation will cover what was missing. It's like, how could there be anyways, I actually did a 2-part interview with Father Peter that will have already dropped once this interview comes out. It's coming out Wednesday, all about baptism and economia and same types of things. You did your episode with him on it. It's important that people understand that there is only one baptism, but it was just really special connecting with you and meeting you. And so now that, and actually I saw a video on your YouTube channel of Father Turbo came and he baptized you.
He did. Yes. Yeah. He's, we flew him down. He's my spiritual father. We wanted to make sure that was a thing he could do. So yeah, we adjusted our schedules accordingly. Yeah. That was pretty amazing.
How did you meet Father Turbo?
Through the aforementioned Cyprian. They had the Royal Path show together. Cyprian and I were already friends. He actually went by Vin Armani when I first knew him. And so sometimes I'll slip. If I say Vin, that's who I'm talking about. And he told me during another conversation at some point, he said, Father Turbo and you would be a pretty good match. And he goes, he's my spiritual father. And he started telling me about him. Well, I was still looking into the church at that point, not even a catechumen. And he started talking to me about him. And I said, okay, I definitely want to meet him. I don't know if I'm ready yet. He's like, no, you're not. But we'll know when you are. And he said, he's got he's tattooed like you are. He came from a punk rock background, just like you did. You're about the same age. You guys would definitely hit it off. And he said, I think he said he's seen some of your shows or something like that. And he, was complimentary towards you. So a few months later, we have like a 3-way signal chat or something, and sort of Vin introduces us through the signal chat. Buck, Father Turbo, Buck, I'll let y'all take it from here. And so we just started talking. Then he started coming on my show, and we would talk before we recorded, after we recorded, and everything, and just grew closer. And it was funny. I wanted him to be my spiritual father, and my godfather said, well, yeah, you can do that. And I said, would it hurt my priest's feelings or something? How does that work? And he was like, no, he's a grown man. He's a priest. He'll be fine. Well, another thing in God's timing, I suppose, a day or two later, I get a text from my priest, from Father Ignatius, and he goes, just FYI, Father Turbo and you, I understand y'all are close. He can be your spiritual father if you want. I won't, just so you know, just throwing it out there. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I was going to ask you. And so I asked Father Turbo, he said, as long as Father Iggy blesses you, blesses this, of course. And so that went from there.
I love it when priests do that. They just say something perfect timing. Like actually, I feel like it happens a lot. Like that they will say something that's kind of like on your mind, or go ahead and just like break the ice on something for you. It's just such a loving thing. And Father Ignatius played. I was only at your parish for a short time, but a couple months. But in those couple months with Father Ignatius, he played a really significant role in my journey. Like, I was at a church in Austin, like I said, that wouldn't baptize me. And so a friend told me, like, hey, they're never going to baptize you there, and you need a baptism. And I really struggled for like a year as a catechumen, like praying, do I need one? Do I not? Some people were like, oh, it's your pride that wants to have an Orthodox baptism. And I didn't know at the time, like, now, I can sit here and like talk more about like what the church father says, what the councils say, like, the patristic view on this, and explain it like that and understand it. But then I was just, as a catechumen, you're kind of like, you're going through the fire, you're being purified. It's difficult. Yeah. I know. We talked about that last, like your whole life changed when you were a catechumen. Mine too, honestly, like really, it's unbelievable. Like you really have to die to your old self. But when I came and visited your church, I sat down with Father Ignatius, and he said something funny to me. He goes, told him where I was going. He goes, oh, you're at one of the most Protestant Orthodox churches out there. And he's a hilarious guy. The way he says things, he's very funny. It was just a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. And it offended me. And I was like, what is he talking about? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, there's pews. They just kind of hand out blessed bread to everybody. And I'm just like, they're not baptizing, and just like all these different things. And no, I'm not judging. Like, it's a great place too. Like, wonderful priests there. I'm not, please, forgive me if I'm sounding like facetious in any way, But it made me think the way that he works and the way that priests work. Sometimes they communicate with you in a way, and it's like fool for Christ kind of stuff, where they get you and move you in a certain way to, it's like the medicine kind of, they give to you. Like I met with my spiritual father a couple days ago, and we had a fast free week last week. And so I was like, this is awesome. And I was there for liturgy in the morning, and then we have, food together, and they brought hard boiled eggs out. It was on Friday. And I was so excited. There was a hard boiled egg. I'm like, yes, because we're going into Lent soon. I'll be able to have this. And I'm peeling the egg. And my friend sits next to me and she goes, you know that if you want to commune Sunday, even though it's clean week, you still have to fast Wednesday and Fridays. And I was like, dropped the egg. And I was like, what? I didn't like, I'm at a monastery. It's a little bit more, stringent. We've got monastics there. It's not the same for everybody, but I was like, oh, I won't eat this egg then. I want to commune Sunday. And then I went and saw my spiritual father, and I told him, I was like, oh, so-and-so told me that I didn't realize like that we needed to fast Wednesday and Friday. And he's like, what, you were going to eat an egg? And I was like, yeah. And I go, I got it in my purse, but it's okay. I'm going to take it home to my dogs. He goes, pull it out. I pulled it out. He goes, eat it. And yeah. I was like, oh, but I don't eat the yolk normally. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I just had a weird thing. I've never really ate the yolk. He goes, no, it's good for your brain. Eleni, that's what they call me. Eleni, eat the yolk, eat the whole thing. And right before I came in too, he was a little late for our meeting, but he had sent one of the fathers out to ask me if I wanted a cup of coffee, like specifically. And I'm so shy. I don't want to upset anybody. I was like, oh no, I don't need any coffee. I'm good. And so when I got in there and he said the thing with the egg, he goes, wait, did you not get coffee? I sent Father, out there to get you some coffee. And I go, oh, I didn't want to bother him. And he gets the radio and he calls up the father and he goes, Eleni's being coy and she's too afraid to ask for coffee. Will you get her some coffee? He comes and brings me coffee. And then he's like, oh, and bring her salt and pepper. And I'm just like the father at the monastery. I'm just like, I'm so uncomfortable, I'm like sweating. And then I've got this egg and he makes me eat the egg right in front of him, the whole thing, the yolk and all. And that's the medicine that we need sometimes. We don't totally understand it, but
how was the egg?
Unbelievable. And I'm gonna eat the yolk now.
Yeah,
and I need it. My brain needs it. I've had lots of mental problems in my life. It's probably because I haven't been eating the yolk.
That's it. Yeah, that's the medicine you need.
Exactly. And that's the beautiful thing about Orthodoxy is it's this theosis, this like, it's not like come to church and slap on the hand if you do something wrong and follow the gospels and judge each other and care on each other. It's like God's got a unique formula for each one of us because we're all so very different and we can't judge anybody. You can't judge someone else, what their fast is, how they pray, where they're at. It's not like a race where we're running against each other.
Right.
So
I like that we read the tale of the publican and the Pharisees, shortly before Lent, because it gets you in the mindset of like, this isn't for like outward appearances by like, or even thinking inside your own mind or heart, like, I did so well this week. I fasted, man, I am great. It's like, and I saw that guy. I saw him have a stick of beef jerky. Yeah. So it's good to sort of get that mental process going before Lent starts.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, the Pharisees, that's what the Jews, yes. That's what they were. They were the Pharisees. They wanted to keep the Old Testament and the law, and they didn't, they missed the Messiah when he came, and Jesus, fulfilled the law and more, and they're still. Anyways, I don't want to get too off into that topic, though. It's definitely something.
It's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic. I mean, I guess I brought it up. It's happening right now. It's touchy to talk about, especially trying to put videos on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made this is touchy for me to say, but I made a reel because I make stupid content on Instagram talking about how I didn't realize that Jewish composers wrote most of the Christmas music.
Yes.
The hits that we all sing and listen to. And I'm like, interesting because they're Jewish. They don't believe in Christ. So I made a reel, put it out, and I'm not saying anything negative. I'm giving credit to these wonderful musicians that wrote popular songs, but they're not really like Chris. We don't, I'm not. Yep. And I put it on YouTube, and because I just started this YouTube channel, and literally I got a warning instantly. A violation.
You did.
Anti-Semitism. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got to be careful.
The most fascinating aspect of some of these things coming to light that people are quote unquote noticing is that factual information becomes anti-Semitic. Just stating facts. It's not your opinion. Just literally saying correct information. That's interesting that that's anti-Semitic. Like it's a rabbi owns, I believe, Pornhub or one of these porn sites. It's like, ooh, that's anti-Semitic if you say that. I'm just saying the truth. Why is that anti-Semitic?
Right. No, it's crazy. It's unbelievable the kind of gatekeeping that happens when you go to talk about this topic of these people. And my mother's Jewish. Like I always like to throw that out there. Listen, you're the fact checkers listening or whatever. My mom's Jewish. She converted. Some people will go, "Oh, that means you're Jewish." No, she converted. She married a Jewish man, and he passed away. And she decided she wanted to be buried in the cemetery with him. So she converted. So I have a large portion of my family that's Jewish, and I love them. They're wonderful people. Like this isn't about attacking people, and it's not all people are part of this Zionism, like this, cult. Now I'm going to say what satanic stuff, and it, we see that this stuff is actually happening in the world today, especially right now. We just had the big file release.
Yes.
A week ago it's just horrible stuff. It's hard to even fathom what has really gone on in this world. And it's such it's a dark rabbit hole, and it's been filling the algorithm, and it's just it's kind of like made me like want to stay off social media, to be honest.
Yeah, there's some dark stuff. I think probably people like you and myself have been talking about or reading about some of these sort of things, assuming most of this stuff was true, but it is wild to see it in literal black and white and some redactions. And it's funny, like with the pizza stuff, and I don't want to get off into a rabbit hole, but the Pizzagate thing was obviously real, because the fact that you're seeing grown men in these emails talking about pizza and soda, it's like, just for the heck of it, on my own experiment, I went into my email and searched the word pizza. Not one. I've never emailed about it one time, but it's funny that all these people emailed Jeffrey Epstein about it. And then if it's just pizza or soda, why is the name redacted?
Right. Something really weird is going on for sure. And it's a deep thing too. Like even with the Super Bowl just happening, there's, the trafficking that happens around that. And, and this is just, the Epstein thing is just, that's what they're showing us. And there's, this always psychological operation stuff going on. They're trying to create confusion and chaos and bury the real truth in the story. Like, I'd like to see some people arrested, some justice happens, that kind of thing. But there's also, it's embedded in our culture for some reason. This, like even Walt Disney movies, like subliminal messages, abuse that's just happening around, just all over the place. Like where does this stem from? And you go back in the Bible and you see, like in the beginning of time, they were sacrificing babies. Like even when Jesus was born, Herod, had 1,200 baby boys killed because he's like, we know Christ is born, let's try to kill all these babies. Those were the first saints too. Isn't that interesting? That those babies. So it's just, this evil's been around since the beginning of time, and it seems like a lot of it is coming to the light right now, especially since 2020. And this, ties to Orthodoxy and the religion of the future, because Seraphim Rose, he says, that in the last days, we will see, devils working miracles. We will see, the stuff kind of like coming to the light, this evil coming to the light. And, it's happening right now. And it makes, I don't know. I know we're in end times, and we don't know the time in the season, but it just feels like there's a lot of stuff kind of coming to an accumulation, like a culmination right now.
I know. And I keep thinking, imagine what's going to be revealed in the next 2 years. This stuff keeps happening, and it's almost like opening up a fire hose. Like you're bombarded with it, and it's a lot to even keep up with when you're somewhat interested in it. Yeah. And there's things like the first drop of files was sort of like, okay, well, looks like some of the people I listened to were correct on this stuff. Even I believed it, but there's always this thing in the back of your mind, like, what if this is a psyop or something? And then, and we're still a bit amazed. Imagine in the next 6 months, in the next 2 years, like we're going to be like, can we go back to 2026 where I didn't know all of these things? But
God.
it's crazy how it just keeps flowing. And you think I think you're close to my age. We're Gen X. I assume
I'm
you're
43. Yeah. I was born in 1982.
Okay. So we grew up, and I think you specifically and myself, in conspiracy stuff. So thinking these things could be real, having suspicion toward authority, and certainly globalists and whatnot. Imagine being like 16 and 17 right now.
Oof.
And it's like,
wow.
We were sort of on the fringe researching some of these things. Really broadly speaking, a lot of people didn't care or know. Maybe the 9/11 event a little bit started to, people would start to get into some things that weren't typically. But before that, it was like JFK or, right. Silly stuff like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot or whatever.
Loch Ness Monster.
But like, imagine being 16 or 17 now. You'd never think anything was real anymore. Like,
right.
Well, yeah, hopefully they come to the church, because if you don't have that, it'd be pretty easy to slip into nihilism. Like, voting doesn't work clearly.
Right.
These people don't have the same worldview as you do. They're sinister. It's dark. There's things in there you can't even say without getting canceled, but they're in these emails. And you would be a dark world just coming up going, well, this is reality now.
Yeah, no, it's totally. I'm so grateful to be a child of the 80s and pre-internet, landlines, answering machines. Like,
yes.
Just you got home for dinner at the right time. Somehow you knew where everybody was. I always like to say, because there's a pile of bikes out front. And that's where everybody's hanging out. I grew up in, nobody ever worried about me in small town Michigan. Like, we were free kids, like the free fall. And today it's a different world, like social media. I didn't have my first social media account until college. I had MySpace. My brother made me but that, I was just like listening to music on there. But my friend made me a Facebook account in probably like 2001 or 2002. And like today though, to see like what these kids are exposed to, like I said, I don't even want to go on Instagram because I don't want to see the pictures in the Epstein files. You don't care if a face is blocked out. Like, I don't want to see anything happening to children. I don't want to know or read. I believe this stuff happens, but I don't want to imprint it on my psyche. Like, I've been kind of making some content, like being like, guys, this is psychological conditioning. Like, yes, this happened, like very clear. Like, I believe this happened. We knew this happened without the files. We knew this was going on. We were warned about Chester, Molester, and Vans a long time ago. Like, Playboy was doing a lot of really gross stuff, like putting out in their magazines. You remember Chester the Molester, the cartoon? Yeah. Like, there's like this stuff has been going on for a long time. And the symbolism, like I remember seeing the sexual innuendos in Disney movies as a kid. Mm-hmm. We would catch them, my sister and I, and we'd rewind and be like, what is that? And it's like, this stuff has been out there, but today what kids are bombarded with, and people, when you go on social media, it's horrible stuff imprinting on your psyche. And I don't know if you have read about Elder Cleopa of Romania. He wrote The Truth About Our Faith. And I was reading his book, and he talks at the beginning of the book that he was a sheep herder in Romania. And it talks about how because of his upbringing, his psyche was so clean because he was never inundated by movies or TV or music or culture. And he just had such a pure soul always because of that. And today, like, our souls are just being dirtied by this culture, and it's the occult. This is what the occult does. Once you've been illuminated by the spiritual realm, unfortunately, or you've been initiated into this, Kabbalist, what is it? It's Kabbalah, Gnostic, it's dark Gnostic Judaism. You can see these psyops and the games at play, and the Epstein stuff is deeper than just an information reveal. Right. Like it's definitely, they're getting it's like a limited hangout where they're getting a hand, like, okay, everybody knows about this. So now we're going to get the reins on this and release it in a certain way that's going to confuse people. Nothing's going to come out of it. People will stop asking questions. It's going to get on their psyche, and they're messing with people with this stuff. And it's aggravating, Yeah.
I think as we record, there's supposed to be some other drop today.
Oh gosh.
2.0.
I can't even imagine. I don't want to. And I heard I can never say her name. Ghislaine. And
Ghislaine Maxwell.
She's testifying or something.
She invoked her Fifth Amendment rights.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, of course. So we're never going to get the, an Epstein died. Like, and then of course, and then the AI aspect too, that's coming into everything right now. We don't even know what's real anymore. Like, did you see the picture of Epstein in Greece with like the beard going? And it's like, it's got an AI emblem like on the bottom of the picture, but people are still sharing it like it's real.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of sharing something that I deleted yesterday where this whole Savannah Guthrie thing, I'm just questioning everything. Like her husband, I guess, was connected to the Clintons. So there's a weird connection to her in the Epstein files. Suddenly her mom goes missing. And I don't know if you saw the video of her giving the first talk, telling the kidnappers, bring my mother back. And it's just like from Silence of the Lambs, the words like, and then, so that, it's literally like they scripted it from that. But then last night I'm on my phone. Made the mistake on my phone. And I see this video of her telling the kidnappers, we'll pay your ransom. And her hand, it looks like there's 6 fingers. And that's the whole AI mistake that's made. Like remember the 6-finger man from The Princess Bride?
Yes.
Do you remember? Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm literally like, my brain is like doing some weird trying to connect stuff. We got the Obama portrait where he's got a 6 finger. Yeah. This whole Nephilim theory, which we know Genesis 6:3 is not about the alien Nephilim. It's about the Seth, the line of Seth. Father Peter explains it so well. The line of Seth falling in love with the Jewish, or not the Jewish women, but the Gentile women. Yes. It's not about these Nephilim demon hybrids, because the fallen angels didn't have DNA. They don't have physical bodies, you guys. They can't have these. That's a conspiracy. But this 6-finger thing, I saw this, I put the video out because, it definitely looks like AI. But once I put it out, like, instantly I started seeing all these comments like, that's just her sister's hand underneath. And I'm like, oh, maybe, but look at this. This looks like all of it looks AI generated. And I realized, I'm like, Kara, take this down. You're either way, if it's AI or if it's not, like, this is just stay in your lane, get off.
That's probably wise. And yeah. I did notice, they keep redacting people in these emails, and there's clearly like some of them had torture and murder stuff. And it's like, why is this name redacted? Like, show us so we know who this is. And they're just like, oh, we got to protect, blah, blah, blah. Kash Patel sort of blows things off. But the moment Savannah Guthrie's mom is kidnapped, it's like, Kash Patel is flying to California or Arizona or wherever. I'm like, oh, so you can do something now all of a sudden? It's like, oh, I care. It's weird.
Right? Yeah, do something about the Epstein files.
Yeah, I care about this celebrity's mom, not millions of kids that have been tortured and trafficked and killed or whatever. Now they found vats of some sort of acid in the emails that Jeffrey was ordering.
Oh my
that
gosh.
Basically dissolves people. So it's like, okay, I guess Kash can go do something when it's a celebrity's mom. He's up there quick.
Right. Man, there's so many things I want to say that I got to be careful. And just like, I think, I don't think all roads lead back to Rome. I kind of think they lead to Israel.
Yes. Well, there was actually a line in the emails that said that.
Really?
It was between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. And Steve said something like, I guess all roads lead to China. And Epstein replied, you mean Tel Aviv, and put a wink.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. And of course, like the whole Israel, like it's like the whole like Israel thing with getting back to Christianity, how there's so many groups of Protestants, who believe that Israel in the Bible is the literal state of Israel that was created from the Balfour Act in 1917 by the Rothschilds.
Yes.
And that's been, you can see that it's just a psyop that they're using to handle people. And what happened in Christianity, which Father Seraphim Rose talks about in this book, with the Pentecostal movement and the charismatics, and then now we have these Christians that are believing that they're very deceived about Israel, and this is all planned. This is all signs of the time that we're in. Do you think that it's kind of part of the ecumenical movement, what's happened?
Yes, yeah. 100% it is. That's what all roads lead to this up the same mountain is pure ecumenism. And in fact, one of the times I was sitting with Father Peter he said the biggest danger we face is absolutely ecumenism. And I always say that word wrong, forgive
Me
me, but
too. No, it's hard.
ecumenism.
Yeah, I have a hard time saying it too.
He was like, that is the biggest thing. He's like, it's not, I don't know if he said it's not the world war, but it's not the COVID stuff. He's like, it's ecumenism. And that's sort of the soft, terrorism, if you will, or something like that, is to, the Jewish influence on Protestantism.
Yeah.
And then you start to Protestant moms doing, there's yoga studios just set up on every corner. And Father Turbo said to me once, the danger is not the Muslim church or all the Muslims moving to your town and taking over. That's not going to happen. They can't do that. The danger is the soccer moms starting to go to hot yoga and these sort of spiritual things that they're going to see as natural. Everyone, a lot of boomers and suburban parents see Islam as a threat.
Yeah.
So that's not really going to work. You've got to have sort of soft power influence and things to sort of gently breadcrumb people along is part of how this works.
Absolutely. Father Seraphim Rose says in his book, the charismatic revival, the product of a world without sacraments, without grace, a world thirsting for spiritual signs, without being able to discern the spirits that give the signs, is in itself a sign of these apostate times.
Yes.
When as a new Christian, I just started believing in Christ. I just started following Christ. And then that brought me into Protestantism. I kind of, made my way backwards. But once I got to the Orthodox Church, it was just like mind blowing to me how different the service was on Sundays, the divine liturgy. And it hit me. I was like, this is Christianity. The more time I've been in the Orthodox Church now for 2 years, officially since last summer, and I'm not trying to dog on Protestantism here. I'm just being honest. I'm honestly not here to make friends. So the podcast is called Let's Be Friends. I'm here to share the truth, God's truth, all glory to God. But true Christianity is only found in the Orthodox Church. They say that salvation can only be found in the Orthodox Church, and that people go, what are you saying? Well, it's because they have the sacraments, because that divine grace of God is in the Orthodox Church. And these, we have great, this isn't like saying anything about the people in Protestant churches or Catholic churches that they're bad. I was a Protestant for a while. My great aunt was a Catholic Dominion nun. She devoted her life she was a nun since she was 18. Wow. We can't say, Helen. And my saint is Helen. Let me just show her icon real quick. Okay. Yes. I like to show icons. I don't have them up here, but I have a
gold leaf on that's gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. And here she is with her son, Constantine, who helped, who legalized Christianity. These are big saints. Helen found the cross, but I'm going to start doing some episodes about the saints on here. But what was I saying? There's good people in these churches. We can't say it's not our place to say who's going to heaven, who's not going to heaven. And there was, I think it was Saints, I can't remember which saint it was talking to God like, oh, I'm so worried about who's going to go to heaven, who's not going to go to heaven. And God said, well, don't worry. I'm the judge of that. You don't need to worry about that. Thank God, a loving God who loves every single one of us, loves Jeffrey Epstein. He loves Hitler, every single one of us. He's the one who's going to judge where we go when we die and what happens after Judgment Day. And for those who know the law, we'll be judged by the law. But for those who don't, we know St. Paul tells us in Romans, they will be judged by their heart. So we don't know, who's going where, but we do know that for salvation, the reason that's only found in the Orthodox Church is because the sacraments are in the church, the healing sacraments through the grace of confession to have your sins remissed, communion, the true blood and body of Christ, baptism, which washes your soul clean, marriage, all these things happen with the divine grace that comes through a priest who has apostolic succession in the Orthodox Church. And then if you're outside the church, what happens after you die and you are waiting for the prayers of the church? It's too late to repent. There is no purgatory. You have to do all of this has to be done here, or it's the prayers of the church. So that I kind of learned that lately, because I was like, how is the salvation only in the Orthodox Church? Well, that's how. And so with these other Protestant churches, it's like you have people that are thirsting for God. They're thirsting for the signs, but they're thinking that tongues and the laying of hands and all these things are, but as Father Seraphim tells us in the book, these are just signs of the times, and we're in the apostate times.
Yeah, people sort of are looking for signs or something spiritually motivating. I think that's also an issue with, for recent examples, take the left in America politically. It's very secular, of course, but there's still things that they look for to a sort of worship. I mean, now they're being, they want to go and fight these ICE agents, and they're pushing them and getting, almost hoping that like two of them they get killed, and then they become martyrs. Like, oh, that was like a holy fight this person's in. They're going against the bad guys. And it's like, none of this matters. Like, you're so empty spiritually with the right spiritual stuff that you're filling it with like really low frequency stuff that's not important. And like, you'll see someone out marching against ICE and pushing a cop and spitting in their face, and then getting in a big fight and posting it. It's like, that matters more to them than coming to liturgy. Right. And I'm not knocking them for it. I feel bad for them, because that's such an empty existence. And it really, in the long run, does not matter. Like, none of that's for salvation. It's for clicks or popularity, or, filling a void that should be filled with something else. But you see it everywhere now. Even the people that are dedicated solely to Donald Trump, who he can do no wrong. It's almost like they're holding him up higher than a human should, and you see it everywhere. But that's because of the lack of Christianity, true Christianity, certainly in America. Everyone's searching for something.
Right, because we have a hole inside of us. Like, we are empty. But Father Seraphim Rose says that the charismatics believe that their experiences are Christian.
Yes.
And we had all those Protestant priests, like 1,000, that were just sent on a free, all expensive paid trip to Israel to basically be indoctrinated with,
to then indoctrinate their flock at their churches. Correct.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I didn't think about this, but there's a lot of like Christian Protestant groups that take these tours to Israel themselves, like their church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And a friend of mine who's Orthodox was like, yeah, she went to Israel, and she's like, I saw those churches, those groups, and I heard about them. They never go to the real holy sites because they don't believe in Orthodoxy. They don't, God forbid you put an icon in front of them, get the graven image away. And it's like, they don't know the saints. They don't know the lives of the saints. And so they don't go see the actual true holy places. And the thing is, they do believe their experiences are Christian. And, it's almost impossible to convince somebody that they need to wake up when they already believe that they have. This is the devil hard at work right now. And like, I know, I'm sorry, forgive me again, like if I sound harsh as I'm talking about this stuff, but I fell into the Protestant spell, as I call it, for a little while, and I didn't get any better. I'm a very broken person, and I was desperate for healing. That's how I fell into the New Age. And Father Seraphim talks about that in here, like the popularity of like witchcraft and occult and psychedelics and all these things I fell into, mediumship. And I was looking to heal because this world couldn't heal me. I was a victim of big pharma and misdiagnosis. And I just, I kept taking mushrooms to heal and doing ayahuasca and all these meditations, high vibing, and nothing worked. And so I needed healing. And I was so stagnant as a Protestant. Like, I remember even taking the communion that they give like once a month in the little plastic cup. And I was like, I wanted it felt special to me, but I was like, I want more of this. I had this like, and that's why I actually chose to become a catechumen. I was like, I want communion. Like, what was your first experiences like thinking about communion coming in?
Well, I was excited, because my experience with it in the past was like you were just referring to, where it's not even important at all. It's almost an afterthought, like, oh, there's worship music playing. Come on up and get your little cup or whatever. And then when you start to learn about it as a catechumen, there's sort of this impending, like, happy anxiety, if you will, like a good anxiousness, like, I get to do that at some point here, and
Mm-hmm.
I would tell myself, don't rush, you'll get there. It's not a race, it's a marathon. But yeah, it was. And now when my friends get baptized, I always try to be there despite my work schedule, if for their first communion, because it's so beautiful and it's like excites me. Like, I get to watch you do this. I'm so happy,
Yeah. Yeah. My first communion was my spiritual father videotaped it like from the front, and I didn't realize that he gave it to the video, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I've gotten to see myself commune for the first time. And they say that, baptism washes your soul clean, for chrismation, which, you have the Holy Spirit chrismed in you. And then after your purification stage as a convert, so that you can commune, so that you can be prepared to enter the church, because partaking in the blood and body of Christ, and when we read our pre-communion prayers, like, this is fire that burns. It will burn you if you're unworthy. Like, none of us are worthy for communion, none of us are good, but communion sanctifies your soul. And it's a mystery. We don't totally understand this, but you think of Theotokos, Mother Mary, Jesus's mom, you guys. She was so pure to have God inside of her. And someone was just telling me this story yesterday about the burning bush. There's an icon of Mary and the burning bush. And when Moses approached the burning bush, he had to take his shoes off because he was on holy ground. And so he could only be near that for just a little while. Mary had Jesus inside of her for 9 months and birthed him. That's how pure she was. And so we are, we're getting this little piece of communion, and it's such a blessing to have. It's the medicine that we need, and God commands us. It's a commandment to commune.
Yes. It's why we're there, basically. And every sacramental thing you mentioned earlier, whether it be marriage, confession, baptism, it all revolves around the Eucharist. The Eucharist is like the part of every one of those things. You do confession, so you can do the Eucharist. There, you do the Eucharist together with the crowning ceremony, the marriage that we do. Of course, after baptism, you get to do your first communion. So it's always like centered around that.
I never thought about that. I love that. And even like Pascha, we commune on Pascha, right? Yeah, like all this, it is all based around communion. And to commune, we have to have confessed recently to our spiritual father, and we can only commune with the blessing of our spiritual father. And we have a prayer rule that we follow. It's not, you don't just like willy-nilly go up there and commune. It's like the cornerstone kind of to the foundation of your faith. And it is all of it is part of this healing process that we're all looking for. And I one of the big lies of the New Age is I started believing for a little while because the spiritual realm told me, oh, you have past lives. And it's you're going to have other or like you signed a soul contract to come here, and you chose to be Kara so that you could live these experiences because it's what your soul needed. And don't worry, you'll come back and you'll evolve, and each time you'll be more evolved. And no, what a lie, because we have one life.
That's really dangerous too.
Yeah.
I never dipped my toes that much into that life. But I didn't know that they would say stuff like that, a soul contract. I've never even heard of.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Soul contract is a big thing in the New Age that you literally made, like, I guess you sat down like in the other realms, and Satan signs you a contract and you sign like, okay, I'll live this life. They say you pick your parents. And and you might be an old soul because you've lived a lot of lives. They literally, like, I did, I got so deep into all of this when I would take psychedelics. I would see the spiritual realm. They would talk to me. They'd give me visions. They would take me places, and they showed me my past lives. They are some tricky people. Like, these demons, they've been deceiving people for thousands of years. This is a game that we are not equipped to play at all. Like, they say, like, Father Ephraim, Elder Ephraim, wonderful Father, Saint Ephraim, he says, when a demon comes into your mind, just start saying the Jesus prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Do not entertain the thought, because that's like the first step. You start, you recognize the thought, you entertain the thought, then you start communicating with the thought, and then all of a sudden it comes into your life. This is how demons work. Yes. And the charismatics, getting back to kind of the, Orthodoxy and the religion of the future, they think that they have some power to fight demons and cast out demon and all. And it's because of, and it says it's like, I think one of the chapters in his book is a Pentecost without Christ is what Yeah.
That's all those things are so dangerous. It's leads obviously to what we call prelest, which
Yes.
is spiritual delusion. And yeah, I mean, I'm thinking as you were talking about the New Age and witchcraft stuff, it's almost like me being an atheist for all of that 20 years was like God's grace on me for a little while that I did not, because I thought those things were just as stupid as going to a mega church. I was like, that's fake and gay kind of thing. So I never wanted like tarot reading. I thought was retarded. Psychic stuff, I was just like, that's dumb. So I never like even got involved in any of that. I remember it was as a young guy, I don't know, I was with friends or something. We were having a seance or whatever, like where you're trying to move stuff around. And every time I would do it, I would just be making fun of it. I'd start like doing the tickle on one of the guy's hands or something, or like rubbing they'd be like, stop, take this seriously. And I was like, it's retarded. I'm not taking it seriously.
You made it not work.
Yes.
You're protecting
gonna make
everybody.
This not work. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. And on the other side, as a kid, I remember doing, light as a feather, stiff as a board, and like literally like people lifting up and us being like taking your hand away and being like, and no one says anything, but you're like, and you playing with Ouija boards and God did protect you. I love that you look back and you can see that. That's such a good question, because I just interviewed Father Paul Trubenbach. It's episode.
Oh, you did? He's great.
Unbelievable. I love.
He's a busy man. You got a hold of him. Good for you.
Yeah. It's dropping tomorrow. It's such a good conversation. But yeah, he asked me once. He's like, one of the questions he asked in the interview, because I was interviewing him, but he had some questions for me. He's so funny. He's like, can you look back and see how God had his hand on you, protecting you? And you just brought that up in your experience in your life, like something that we might be angry about, or like even if like a relationship didn't work out, or you got pulled from a job, or maybe you got sick or broke your leg or something changed your life, that you can look back later and go, oh my gosh, that was God's love. Yes. God was protecting me. And that's one thing that I've learned, especially as in Orthodoxy, is God's love is not like what they say in this world. It's not that rom-com feel good. Even the like marriage, there's so many divorces now because I think people are like, well, we're fighting all the time and we don't get along anymore. Oh, we'll pick up your cross and carry it. You can either become a monastic, marry the church and work out your salvation that way, or you're going to get married in this world and work out your salvation with your husband or wife. And that's love. Love endures, love is patient, love is kind. And God's love is very different. Since you've been Orthodox, can you talk a little bit about how your view on God's love has changed?
Yeah, it's way different. In fact, I'm thinking a mutual friend of mine and yours was texting me the other day, and she said, I guess she was going through some things, and she said, God's been throwing a lot at me. And I wasn't trying to be funny or coy, or I just said, that's him loving you. And because that's just how this works. And there's some sort of a wives' tale within Orthodoxy. And I know people have really said this, but it's sort of gotten its own mythical celebration, is that, there's the old Russian lady, and she's got her parish priest, and all of a sudden her life's perfect. And she starts crying, and she's like, Father, and he's like, what's the matter? Nothing's wrong with me. Like, did he forget about me? He's not throwing me any challenges. And so that is kind of how we look at things. And it's taught me, we have a pretty easy life, let's face it, in 2026, right? We have comforts of home. I have a nice job. My health's somewhat, I guess, good, I hope. And it's taught me that we can be so soft and like weak, sort of spiritually, like the first snag that comes into your day I've just learned like, oh, thanks God, sort of just take it as it comes. Not necessarily like I'm going to close my eyes and drive down the road and go, you've got the wheel. But it takes
take the wheel.
It takes our free will to work through things. And I always thank God for trials and tribulations and things he's allowed to come in and impact my life in what would seem like a negative way, but helps me get spiritually stronger or work through things up. Like we're about to enter Lent. Fasting is not particularly fun in my opinion, but it's sort of, neither is lifting extra heavy sometimes. It's things that sort of make you stronger in a certain way. And I think we have to be thankful for trials, tribulations, hardships, the whittling down of our old selves that hurts. It's a good thing though.
Yeah, I love that story that you shared about the Russian woman. I've heard that before. And yeah, when I was talking to Father Paul, I told him, I was like, yeah, I've already had a lot of slander. I mean, honestly, since I've been a Christian, it's just something I've gone through. People like to make content on me on Instagram, and usually
Oh, they
it's not
do?
true.
On you?
Oh yeah. I've had story threads made on me, posts. I've had people do podcasts. Literally, even a month ago, I had somebody post a voice memo that I sent them 3 years ago, and they
Oh.
posted it and they talk about me and they call me a grifter. I've had people say I was a man, I'm trans, I'm a Mason, I'm Illuminati,
What?
I'm controlled opposition. Dude, yeah, I've had people question my bat. I could go on and on and on. It doesn't even matter. It's part of the cross I realize I'm gonna carry in this life.
Fair enough.
People, and so I told Father Paul right away, I was like, yeah, I've been slandered kind of a lot the last 4 years. And he's like, that's amazing. He just literally goes, that's wonderful.
Glory to God. Yes.
Yeah, he's glory to God. That's so great. And because of that, like recently I've gotten closer to Saint Nectarios. I love Saint Nectarios. He's a great saint, and he was living at a monastery with nuns, and there was slander that came out that he was doing things to the nuns and that he wasn't. And they came to arrest him, and the nuns were all like, Saint Nectarios, like, say something, stand up. This isn't true. And he stayed silent. And later, though, he was vindicated and the truth came out. And, and it's the same thing you think about. Father Paul, even he said, Jesus was silent on the cross when they were crucifying him. He didn't say anything. And so vengeance is for God, not for us. Like, we're not supposed to do whatever, no eye for an eye, but instead God allows those things to happen. Because I will say, like, I'm a prideful, vain person who makes videos of themselves and posts them on Instagram, and hundreds of thousands of people see it sometimes. And like, I need to have God come out and just knock me down here and there. It's humbled me an awful lot, and it's thickened my skin, and it's made me turn back to God.
Good. Well, see, those were all God's.
Yeah.
That's all a good thing. Yeah. And for those listening, I mean, I can't say with 100% accuracy, but I have met her many times. She's a, I mean,
thank
I've
you.
never heard the thing that you were a man.
Oh yeah, no, and it's so funny too, because in 2022 I was podcasting with a woman. We had a podcast called Not So Secret Societies, and it was super popular. And she does like kind of insane, like, conspiracy decoding, where she'd say, like, if there's pink and blue in a picture, that means the celebrity's trans. They're telling you that in the cover of my book, pink and blue. So this is, so I'm a man. I'm a man because my favorite suit was this pink suit at the time I took these pictures, and sky blue is my favorite color. And I literally, it was just like, yeah, what am I supposed to do? Like, you don't defend yourself. You stay silent, and it's hard.
I mean, that's ridiculous. If someone was out there saying Buck's a female, I wouldn't even respond. I would kind of be amused.
Yeah. And that's actually why I have one of my Instagram accounts is called Symbolism Syndrome, because, and it was, me and my old co-host, I mean, I should speak for myself. We were slandering celebrities. I'd say Jennifer Aniston. I don't know. I can't believe I said that stuff. Yes, I do believe there are a lot of androgynes out there. When you research Kabbalah, that's a stage, and they're whatever they're doing to try to become gods in this life. They they have children, they give them hormones in your utero, and they are born kind of both genders. Remember when they used to say Jamie Lee Curtis with her hermaphrodite? Do you remember that as kids?
I've heard that forever.
Yeah, like that was a thing of our decade. Yeah. Is she? I don't know.
They would even say that's why her name was sort of androgynous, Jamie, Jamie. That could have been a guy or a girl. Jamie Lee. It's like, yeah.
Yep.
I heard that forever.
So much of this. And, I'm not saying, I put my hands up because I'm like, I don't know. Like, with all these psyops, I don't know the truth. We truly don't know. But because I was saying these things online, it's interesting because then it came back at me, and that humbled me. So, and Elder Ephraim even says that too. He's like, be careful how you judge other people. God's going to, real quick, watch, you're going to get that trial real soon after you judge someone else. Vengeance is for God. And so, yeah, that's a good point. It changed. I'm glad these things happen, because I do try, I mess up sometimes, but I do try I have changed the type of content that I make. Like, I've chosen, I'm not going to sit and like assess people's collarbones and say, like, there are accounts out there that literally just try to say like what celebrities are trans. It's just no one's business.
And it's, who cares in the long run?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So this is a great conversation. I just realized we've been talking for over an hour.
Look at
But
that. Yes, we
you
have.
still have a little more time to chat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Um, so let's talk a little bit about UFOs. I'm curious what your thoughts are on UFOs, because that's a big part
It
it's
is.
so interesting that Father Seraphim Rose wrote this book. Like, it was for the time now, because people are saying that they think they see UFOs in the sky. We have the government. Like, do you remember when the Israeli Department of the Defense said that there was a galactic federation and that Trump knew about it?
Mm-hmm.
I, I thought I was a Galactic Federation member in 2021 because the spiritual realm told me I was.
I
Like,
remember you told me that.
it's so embarrassing to say this, but I have to warn people. Like, stay
Yes.
away, be careful of psychedelics, and do not talk to spirits. They will jump into you, into your mind, and they will tell you things and make you believe things. And the whole Galactic Federation is a big part of the New Age. There's mediums out there that have accounts where they channel the Galactic Federation, and they say that these aliens are here to assist humanity and help us ascend to the fifth dimension, probably the sixth dimension now because the 5G's out. And there's correlations on everything.
Okay.
But now what do you think about the UFOs?
I mean, honestly, all I know is, as far as like the Orthodox worldview goes, is stuff I've read in this book. There's a chapter on UFOs, and then Father Spirit Bailey has a book. I think it's called The UFO Deception, and it's basically like if you could take a part 2 of that chapter and sort of make it about the same length book as this. It's about like that, and it's sort of the same updated take on it, is that it's demonic entities and whatnot. Now, I think there's some nuance to be had, because of course the military or some group can build something that we don't know about, that's made of steel or hard and material that can fly. I assume that that's the thing. It doesn't mean like everything in the sky is a demon. I don't mean
Right.
that by any chance. And there's references in the Bible, I think it's in the Spirit and Bailey book, where it's basically saying like, look, they're literally talking about demons flashing up in with lights in the sky.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It's like, it's the same thing. And it's just that we see it now. There's been hoaxes for sure. Like even like Loch Ness, like I'm sure there's giant big gorillas, but Bigfoot was a hoax, you know? So I'm sure there's people that have planned hoaxes that look like UFOs. I'm certain that's probably happened. And again, yeah, military can build stuff we don't know about that we can't quite identify. But I do think there's certainly spiritual or demonic things that have appeared to people. And it doesn't surprise me, or I don't think that's weird at all.
Well, I'm one of those people that's seen those demonic things in the sky.
I remember you said that.
Yeah.
In South Austin, right?
Yeah, a few times. I mean, it would always often would happen when I was on psychedelics. I can remember so many times where I'd go like in my backyard, look at the sky, and all of a sudden the stars would flash to me and start moving around. And that, like, I would see orbs. I would see orbs moving. I would see these orbs like literally coming down from the sky and then coming into the house and finding me. I tried running from them once. I have a chapter in my book called Hellhound, and I'm like trying to run from these orbs.
That's where I knew it from. Yeah, because I read your book.
Yeah, and that wasn't that. Yeah, if anybody wants to know this book we're talking about, I wrote a book. I should talk about it more. Here Comes Trouble.
I still have this one. Look.
Oh yeah, you have the limited edition.
Yeah,
that's a limited edition print. Yeah.
You are not trans here, so see.
No,
people,
yeah.
What coding is brown and green? What does that mean? She is
right. Insane. No. But yeah, no. I saw these orbs. I saw them move, and I also had this experience. This chapter in my book called Contact. I talk about it where I'd started connecting with a girl who I named Ruby in the book, and we would open circles, take psychedelics. She knew about witchcraft. She really practiced it and studied it. I never did, oddly. I was what I call like an accidental medium. I just did psychedelics for like 20 years and thought everybody had crazy experiences where spirits would talk to them and they would see them. And turns out it's not that normal, but it does happen. But we would take psychedelics. She would open circles. We'd summon in spirits and they would come. And one time I literally mind melded, like completely like allowed this spirit into my body, and I astro projected. That's a very real thing. It's where you leave your body and you can like all of a sudden you can see like all around you, or you go to another place, another realm. And I actually astro projected into what I thought was a spaceship. And these spirits, and I believe that the demons will conjure up whatever they need to deceive you. I don't understand how they do it. We don't even need to. We shouldn't really be entertaining this stuff, but they made me think I was in a spaceship, lying on a table with my like head connected to a giant gray brain. And that's Father Seraphim talks about this in the UFO chapter, that there's like 6 different levels of UFO experiences, like the hoaxes, the light ships coming down, the stars, you know, and then also like these crazy experiences where people think they were taken somewhere. And sometimes people actually will end up somewhere else. So I do also think that there's like a, you know, a dark military or whatever out there that somehow like gets some of these people that become targeted individuals, and they maybe do experiment on them, MK Ultra and all that's, I think it's very real. So there's, you know, there's a lot of different deceptions and stuff involved, but it's really weird to see UFO stuff being normalized in culture today.
It is. Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you start to become aware of some of these things, you see it everywhere, and like little kids' clothing or toys. And it's like, it sort of troubles me a little bit when I see stuff like that. Even the dinosaur thing sort of troubles me. Maybe it shouldn't, but because there's little kids all in my cul-de-sac here that they love hanging out with me. I don't know why, but yeah, you see the clothing. It's like spaceships and UFO stuff and aliens, and it's just like, it's like almost like, I don't know if it's a conspiracy or something, but it like softens them up over time to just think of, well, this is cool, and maybe let's try to find and dig deeper and try to find out if we can summons the, you know, stuff like that.
No, I mean, remember the movie E.T.?
Yeah.
Like we were shown that, like, and then
it was a beautiful friendship story.
Right. And the TV show Alf, the alien. Then we had like Independence Day, Mars Attacks. Yeah. All of these movies. And Hollywood, we know, we won't say who owns Hollywood. And I don't know if you saw who you got it. Oh, you know, I kind of was like, seems like, I gotta be touchy when I say this, but there could be like, isn't there like all the billions of people in this world? We could have some really great some really good talent out there. And it just seems like they're kind of just pulling from the same people all the time. Yeah. There's a lot, the influence, the Jewish influence in Hollywood, it's there too.
Yeah. Well, if you could go through those Epstein files, which religion was represented most?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And
I didn't see many Orthodox Christians in there.
No, I know. Me either. And so, you know, you look at Hollywood, and the Hollywood, it's like, even when you go into like the symbolism of the Hollywood, like it was supposedly like used as a magic stick at one point in the occult, and the city of Los Angeles and Hollywood, like LA, Los Angeles, city of angels. It's a city of the fallen angels, you know, come on. And we've got Lucifer, the angel of light, who, you know, came down here, he fell, became Satan, he's deceiving everybody with these parlor tricks. And they try to tell you, like, you think about like a magician, how he pulls a rabbit out of a hat, and that hat looks like a hole, like a rabbit hole, a rabbit out of a hat. And the brim of a magic hat is made stiff with mercury. Mercury makes you go crazy. And they teach us, though, that this is magic, right? A trick, or like the, you know, the finger trick where it's like someone moves their finger, just like a card trick. That's not magic. Magic is Hollywood putting these movies out, or making the world, making t-shirts with UFOs and normalizing all this stuff to the public, and occulting it, hiding the truth, or hiding, like, mind programming people. That's real magic. You know, you see that with the UFOs and the kids and the Harry Potter, and it's even mentioned in here, the Harry Potter, how all these kids, you know, that's so like the woman who wrote the Harry Potter books has a Salvi Coagula Baphomet tattoo on her arm.
Oh, I didn't know this. Yeah, is that J.K. Rowling? Is that her name? Yes, J.K.
Rawlings. Okay. Yeah, just kidding, Rawlings. You know, like, she's even said, like, one time I heard her in an interview say, like, that she was a Satanist, or like she's like, my publicist is going to hate me for saying this. I've got the clip somewhere. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we have two sides. We've got black magic and white magic. Black magic, they're like, that's like this Epstein stuff. They're like killing babies, like sacrificing people, all this dark stuff. But then white magic is what you see kind of in Harry Potter, where they're like working on themselves. I was doing white magic. I'm going to ascend. I'm going to become psychic. I'm going to heal myself. And it's both magic. This
trend, there's like a soft version of that, especially online, of women empowerment, like I'm going to better myself. I'm focusing on me. I've seen a lady I knew that was like going to a boomer mega church doing now. She's sort of stopped attending, and every post is like hashtag focus on all in all caps me. And it's like, goodness gracious, you're obsessed with yourself. And it's almost like the white magic thing you're talking about. Like, I'm going to transcend. I'm focusing on me. I was with a husband and kids so long, and I focused solely on them. Now it's all me. And it's like, goodness gracious, like talk about narcissism. It's just crazy. And it is very widespread now.
I'm glad you brought the feminist movement up, and these this is like, that's kind of what I think created a lot of that. And it's it's self-worship.
Oh, to the extreme. And it is like nails on a chalkboard to me now. I can spot it from a mile away.
Yeah. It has. Father Turbo was saying, like, when possession happens, or whatever, like levels, it's slowly over time, like these breadcrumbs you mentioned earlier, that kind of you take a couple, and then all of a sudden there's a stench. He says you can smell it before you can really like see it or see it tangibly. It's just like you're saying, you can smell it a mile away. I was a victim of the feminist movement. I wish I was married with kids and had done my life differently. And here I am now. And I'm not saying it's not too late for all that stuff, but you look back and it's like, oh man, I was fooled by that agenda. And it's an agenda, and it's a movement. And even Planned Parenthood, like I used to use their services for different stuff, and being on birth control, that's like a horrible thing. It literally makes women attracted to the wrong man, and it messes with your hormones, and you're like, I repented big time for that. And when I did my life confession, like I cried to my spiritual father about being on birth control, because you're not like straight up having an abortion or whatever, but you're literally like you're miscarrying, like you whatever. Like I'm not like here for all the specifics of it, but birth control is tricking women, and it's changing their hormones, it's changing their mental state, and it's deeply making people sad and sinning, and like it's hurting your soul so much more than you even realize. Like God laid out how to live this life, and he didn't tell us for women to empower and like go get career jobs and to like try to be the man in the household and like switch these roles. Like we have roles for a reason, and everything just works better when you fall into that.
Yeah, and we're seeing the backlash of it at this point in society. Like the lack of men and young women dating. I've talked about this a lot on my show. It's because these guys sort of swing so far right, they become incels, and the manosphere thing where they're like, I don't need a woman. And it's like, well, I get why you're frustrated with young women, because they've got this feminist attitude. Like, there's this thing, I want to be protected, I want to be taken care of, I want to be safe. And it's like, what do you offer?
Yeah,
I'm pretty. It's like, okay. And it's caused like the dynamics between young men and women are sadly way off kilter. And I've seen young guys talk to me about this. I've had young women talk to me about this. It's all because of that sort of dynamic with the feminist thing, the rejection of it. The guys swing too far in one direction, and everything's screwed up right now. It's not in order like it's supposed to be. It's disorder. No.
It's the estrogen in the water too. People drink, these men drinking tap water. It's like, what it did to the frogs, and video games, and even beer. Like there's stuff in like too much beer. Yeah. And porn. I've heard that's like a multi-demon. There's so much darkness out there that's attacking men and women. Like me as a woman, I was like, I want a man that's going to get out there and chop some wood and protect the home, and like put out fires and like do manly stuff. I don't want like a feminine man, and a man doesn't want a masculine woman. Like we have these natural gender roles, and just the transgender movement, like the way I think about it is like, so Lucifer held the uncreated light. He fell, he rebelled and fell from heaven because he wanted to be like God. So he's here inverting this world, creating a simulacrum, a hyper reality layered over God's creation, because he can't create anything at all. Like he can't create. So what can he do? What's the furthest from creation is to invert it.
Yeah.
And everything's so the gender roles are inverted, everything's inverted. Like this Gnostic movement in Christianity, where there's people are thinking they're Christian and they're really not, and it's a weird weird thing going on. We're in the upside down.
Yes, we're in inverted land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want out.
Yeah. You need vitamin D to cure this virus. Stay inside.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting too, like thinking about Catholicism. We had, you look back, part of the reason I became Orthodox was because I just literally like researched church history back to what did Jesus teach the apostles. And so you had the Protestant Reformation in the 1600s, but then 600 years before that, 1054, we had the big schism where the Catholic Church left the Orthodox Church. And it was very, the Catholic thinking, I've like really looked into it, it's very intellectual, the way they describe things, very Augustinian kind of, and very kind of strict and whatever. And so I think a lot of the Protestants basically, like you have Catholicism over here, then Protestantism was just rebellion of Catholicism planned.
Yes.
So you have like two extremes, where in the middle is this narrow path. And that's I really think the Orthodox path is that.
Yes. Yeah, the Catholic stuff, it was a lot of scholasticism involved in that. And then it's almost like Protestants, I get why they rebelled, why Luther rebelled against the things he was seeing in the Catholic Church. But they almost it's like a reductionist. They reduced it. Well, we don't need this part. And you hear a lot of Prots say that now. All I need is the Bible.
Right.
Like, that's it. We don't need these other things. And it's like, it's the most beautiful, Christianity is the most beautiful thing in the history of the universe. Why? It's like if you go to an amazing steakhouse and you're like, I just want a salad.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
why? It's because I ate at the steakhouse. That's what counts. I'm here.
Right.
It's like, well, you're missing the dessert, the appetizer, the steak, there's so much to offer. Why wouldn't you want to partake in all of it? It's never made sense to me since I've been Orthodox, at least. It made a lot of sense why I wouldn't want any of it when I was atheist, but yeah.
Right. Well, I thank you for bringing that point up, because it, as when I was Protestant, I didn't even know I was adhering to sola scriptura, which is by scripture alone. And there's this obsession about the Bible. And let me look it up in the Bible. And I'm memorizing the Bible. And the priest is teaching us, or the pastor is teaching us about the Bible behind the pulpit, or sitting in our pews. And when I became Orthodox, at first, I was a little hesitant about the saints. My initial thought on the saints was these are the fallen angels in disguise. I'm going to be demonically attacked by them. I know they're tricking us, because I was all this crazy Protestant teaching. Then I get into the Orthodox Church and I start learning about the saints. I start reading the lives of the saints. And it has just you can't, like Father Cosmas, I don't know if you've ever listened to the Orthodox Talks podcast. He says it so beautifully that you can't understand the gospel fully without knowing the lives of the saints, because the saints were real. They're still alive and they lived the gospel. They showed us how we can tangibly do it. And so we have this problem in Protestantism where they don't listen to the saints. They don't know the lives of the saints. They don't even believe they're alive. So they're not getting the help of the saints. It's very real. I mean, look at how Seraphim Rose brought us together, and like how he moved in your life and my life. He's bringing people to the church today. But
it literally talks about the saints in the book of the Revelation and what we call the Apocalypse. So it's funny, it's like strictly the Bible, nothing else, except I don't like saints. Well, that's in the Bible.
Right.
Women covering their head is in the Bible. The body and blood of Christ is literally in the Bible.
Yeah.
So it's this weird sort of hodgepodge of I only believe the Bible except for this, the things in the Orthodox Church. We don't need all that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I at first, and it takes time, even when you come into Orthodoxy, at first, probably the first year, I didn't cover my head. I didn't understand that yet. But then I started attending a church where it was required. And so I started doing it. And now if I go to another parish, I want to have that head covering on, because it's a humility thing. It's we're in front of God. And it does say, the angels literally come down in the divine liturgy, and you don't want to tempt the angels, women, the covering. But yeah, all this stuff, it's in the Bible. And when you have a pastor leading a church, doesn't have the tradition, doesn't have the wisdom of the church fathers who wrote the Bible, who are illuminated by God to write the Bible, then the lives of the saints who lived the Bible, were martyrs for Christ, kept it all alive. He's just interpreting that on his own. That's how we have 40,000 denominations of Christianity now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why you have, even within Baptists, there's all sorts of different views on things. And even within certainly Methodists, there's a lot of different views. And it's like, that's all Protestant,
right?
But you're following the same book. Why are there so many different views of this stuff?
And this takes us back to kind of tie up our conversation to the ecumenist movement. which is
Yes.
going to bring all these different, he's going to bring the church together for the Antichrist is going to come. He's going to fool everybody. He's going to bring the church together. It's all compromised, like Catholics, Jews, Muslims. We're all
Yes.
worshiping the same God. Every Protestant out there, we're all worshiping this. It's just the same God. And we're going to just all compromise and come together. Father Seraphim Rose says the ecumenical movement itself remains always a movement of good intentions and feeble humanitarian good deeds. But when it is joined by a movement with power, indeed, all the power and signs and lying wonders, who will be able to stop it? Even the Antichrist, he's gonna fool even the elect. And it's this bringing the ecumenist movement, compromising beliefs, and like Catholics saying, oh yeah, Orthodox and Catholics need to come together. No, the only way it's going to happen is if the Catholics leave their beliefs and come back to Orthodoxy, because Orthodoxy is just unchanged.
Yes. Yeah. Well, one of the Catholics in one of their I'm having a lapse in one of their meetings. I forgot what they called it.
Oh, the Vatican II Council.
Yeah, Vatican II Council said it sort of equated to the Abrahamic faiths or whatever, Muslims, Jews, Christians, all the same. I've had Protestants literally tell me when I've gotten into discussions about Judaism in this ridiculous term, Judeo-Christianity. I had a Protestant tell me, well, they worship the same God we do. Yeah. And I was like, no,
they don't.
No, we do not. Why would you, who told you that sort of thing?
Yeah. I had a falling out with a Protestant friend because I realized she was saying the same things to me. All of a sudden I saw this like trend last year where I was meeting all these Protestants who were studying the Hebrew. They were obsessed with the Hebrew. They would wear crosses, but they didn't quite call themselves Christians, but they loved Jesus and everything was in the name of Jesus. And they would listen to like Jewish mystics on YouTube videos prophesizing and all this stuff. And I talked to my priest about it and he's like, oh, those are the Judaizers. This is a 100th century heresy that's amping back up today. And the Judaizers, like they all keep the Sabbath.
I know.
It's Judaizers. This is the Judaizers. Like Jesus came, fulfilled the law, and these people are still keeping the Sabbath.
Yes.
It's like, you don't have to do that. It's nice. That's a nice thing. But, this Shabbat Shalom, like, and this obsession with Hebrew, like Greek is the language. That's the original language that we study. We're looking at the New Testament so much in Orthodoxy because the gospel is there and that's for salvation. Jesus gave us the gospel. Why would the Old Testament's wonderful, but why are we obsessing with the Old Testament? Why are we going back to the Hebrew roots of things? Things can get lost in translation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Pun intended there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Buck, this has been so much fun chatting with you. I could talk all day, and I'll see you later on tonight. We can chat more. But thank you so much for coming back on Let's Be Friends podcast. And the listeners, we can find you on the Counterflow podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify. You have a YouTube channel. Your Twitter is very active. I see you on my Twitter. I've opened I still call it Twitter. Yeah. I'm old lady, whatever. It's Twitter X. I always see like you're on there one like commenting on different stuff. It makes me laugh sometimes. And so do you have any like last words for our listeners?
I got a Substack now too. I'm not good at promoting myself, but I was talked into doing it, and so it's at buckjohnson.substack.com, and I've been writing pieces over there, and then I put some videos, some of my shows out on there too, and that's it.
Awesome.
On YouTube, and people know how to find podcasts these days.
I'll have all the links in the bio as well, and I'll link out to your Substack, and I will subscribe. That's exciting.
Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Buck, for coming on the show. God bless you all, and enjoy your struggles.
Thank you.